I love donuts, but I don't love all the calories that come along with those deep fried donuts. So today I'm going to make baked donuts. The first step in making donuts is to, number one, preheat your oven to 350 degrees. The second thing to do is to prep your donut pans. Now you have a choice of how you want to do this. You can spray it with an aerosol spray. You could spray it with a pump sprayer. You could use shortening, or you can do what I'm going to do and use some butter. So I'm just going to, with clean hands, I'm going to rub butter all over each of these. And I'm putting it also over the top of where the donut hole is, just in case I overfill and some gets up there. I don't want it to stick. Now these are supposed to be non-stick pans, but I'm going to give them a liberal coating of butter anyway. Now let's get started putting the donuts together. First thing, 2 cups of all-purpose flour, a 1/3 cup of white sugar, a 1/3 cup of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder, a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Just going to give this a light mix. Get all of that mixed together. Once everything is incorporated, it's just a nice light tan color. Now I'm going to make a well in the middle of my flour. You can see, got a nice little deep hole here in the middle. Into the well, I'm going to pour 6 ounces of half and half, or you could use milk. I just have a lot of half and half on hand right now, so I'm using that. 2 eggs that I've lightly beaten, 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract, and 4 tablespoons of melted butter. And this is salted butter. If you use unsalted butter, increase the salt to a 1/2 teaspoon, but if you're using salted, decrease it to a 1/4, maybe a slightly rounded 1/4 teaspoon. So now just mix all of this together until it's thoroughly combined. Okay. The next step is to prep your bag to pipe it into your donut pans. I have a disposable pastry bag, and I'm just going to snip off the end. You can use a Ziploc bag and snip a corner. Whatever works for you, that's what you should do. I like these little disposable bags, so that's what I use. Next, fold over the top of the bag, fold it down a ways, hold it with your hand underneath like that, so it's covering your hand, and then you have a nice hole there that you can hold open, and then that makes it easier to put the dough into the bag. And this is a fairly stiff dough. It's a little hard to get in here, so you're gonna have to shake it down a bit, squish it down a bit. Just be sure you don't squish it through your tip until you're ready to start piping it into the pans. And I'm going to put about 1/2 of the dough in the bag and make the first 6, and then I'll put the rest in and pipe into the other 6. So shaking it down, and then fold it in, and then fold it down and down, and have it over your bowl so that when it starts coming out, you don't lose any of it. Okay, you see it's starting to come out there? All right. Time to start piping, into the pan. You know what? My tip really isn't large enough for this, so I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take all that off and see if that will work better. And yeah, that's better. You want to fill it about 3/4 of the way full. This one is just going to be probably an ugly, misshapen donut, but you know, your first ones, until you get your technique solidified, are not going to look that fantastic. So that's a good start. Now let's squeeze this in. And that's how you want to do it. When I'm doing this, when I'm squeezing the dough into it, I'm rolling this down each time so that I can squeeze from the end, and I'm also using my left hand to squeeze and guide. So you're squeezing from both. Try to squeeze consistently and go from one side to the other. In between, squeeze it back down and roll and start squeezing again. Okay, and that was about half the dough, and I'm going to have just enough to finish these 6. Now, if you overfill it, still going to taste good. It's just going to not be quite as round. I'm going to refill this and continue on filling this one. I'll continue doing this until I have them all full. When it's ready, in they go. So let's get on to the glaze so that it will be mixed up and ready to dunk the donuts in it as soon as they come out of the oven and they've cooled for just a minute or 2 in the pan. This bowl has 2.5 cups of powdered sugar or confectioner sugar. I'm going to start with my half and half. Put in 2 tablespoons of half and half. Let's do 3. Okay, 3 tablespoons of half and half. And now 3 tablespoons of light corn syrup. You want to use the light corn syrup, not the dark, because the dark corn syrup will turn your glaze dark. You want this to be a nice light glaze. Three tablespoons is not making it quite liquidy enough. It's not going to coat my donuts the way I want it to, so I need to make it thinner. It's a little too thick. So I'm going to start now with a tablespoon each at a time. So here's another tablespoon of half and half. Might as well do 2. 1 and 2. Okay, so 2 more tablespoons of half and half, and another 2 of corn syrup. There's 1. Here is number 2. Let's stir that together. And we're getting there, but we're not quite there yet. Okay, it's sticky enough. I think I have a sufficient amount of corn syrup. But let's add 1 more tablespoon and stir that in. And that looks a lot better. See, they're a nice light color and they are cooked all the way through. I don't want them to get too brown, so I'm going to stop right now because the side that's down in the pan is browning and I don't want it to over brown. Yeah. So let's let this sit for just a bit, and then we'll start dipping. I'm going to go ahead and flip these out. See how nice and easily they flipped out of those pans? Aren't those just lovely? Now, I'm going to work this with 2 forks to drop them in, flip them over, and get them back onto the tray, just so I'm not getting my fingers completely sticky. So there's the first one. There we are. Now, if you don't want yours covered completely all the way around like this, you could drizzle this across the top, just cover one side, but if I'm not deep frying, I'm at least going to glaze the donut all the way around. You can also make a chocolate glaze and glaze them with chocolate. Instead of making a glaze like this, you could dip them in butter and then cinnamon sugar. Okay, so I couldn't wait any longer for this donut to get completely cool. It looks incredible. Still kind of sticky, but do we really care? It's like getting one hot and fresh off the line. So let's take a bite and see what it's like. Initial reaction, it is not like a fried donut. This is much more like a cake donut. It's more dense, a little more packy. That's okay. It's still delicious. It is very, very sweet with the glaze over the entire thing. If you like a lot of glaze, that's perfect. If you don't, then don't put the glaze all over. Just do it on one side. I like them. I don't love them, but I can guarantee the full dozen will be eaten. If you enjoyed today's video, please be sure and give it a big thumbs up. If you've not already, please do subscribe. And while you're there, ring the bell so that you're notified every time I upload a new video to YouTube. Thanks for watching. God bless.